Welcome to the Lit Baron of Life. This is your host, Lucas Taylor. Today we're going to be reading Lamentations 1 through 2. Song of Jerusalem's groaning. How lonely sits the city once so full of people. She who was once great among the nations has become like a widow. The princess among the province has become a forced laborer. Bitterly she weeps in the night. Her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers there is no one to comfort her. All her friends have betrayed her. They have become her enemies. Judah is gone into exile under affliction and great servitude. She dwells among the nations. She finds no resting place. All her pursuers have overtaken her in the midst of her distress. The roads to Zion mourn, for no one comes to her Moadim. All her gates are desolate. Her Konaim groan, her maidens grieve. She's in bitter anguish. Her foes have become her masters. Her enemies are at ease, for Adonai has afflicted her because of her many transgressions. Her children have gone away as captives before the adversary. All her splendor has departed from the daughter of Zion. Her princes are like stags that find no pasture. They have fled without strength before the pursuer. In the days of her affliction and her wandering, Jerusalem remembers all the treasures that were hers from the days of old. When her people fell into enemies' hands, there was no one to help her. Her enemies saw her and mocked at her destruction. Jerusalem has greatly sinned, therefore she has become Nidah. All who honored her despise her, for they have seen her nakedness. She herself groans and turns away. Her uncleanness was in her skirts. She did not consider her future. Her demise was astonishing. There was no one to comfort her. Adonai, see my affliction, for the enemy has triumphed. The enemy has stretched his hand over all her treasures. She even saw nations enter her sanctuary, those you had commanded not to enter your congregation. All her people groan as they seek bread. They traded their treasures for food to keep themselves alive. Look, Adonai, and see, for I have become despised. Is it nothing to you, all you who pass on the road? Look and see, is any suffering like my suffering that was brought on me, that Adonai has inflicted in the day of his fierce anger? From on high he sent fire into my bones, and it overcame them. He spread out a net for my feet. He turned me back. He made me desolate. Faint all day long. My transgressions are bound into a yoke, woven together by his hand. They have become upon my neck, and he has sapped my strength. The Lord delivered me over to those I cannot withstand. The Lord has rejected all the mighty ones in my midst. He has summoned all an assembly against me to crush my young men in a winepress. The Lord has trampled the virgin daughter of Judah. Over these things I weep. My eyes overflow with water. For far from me is a comforter who might refresh my soul. My children are desolate because the enemy has prevailed. Zion spreads out her hands. There is no one to comfort her. Adonai has decreed against Jacob. Those surrounding him have become his foes. Jerusalem has become Nidah in her eyes. Adonai is righteous, for I have rebelled against his word. Hear now, all peoples, look at my suffering. My maidens and my young men have gone into captivity. I called to my lovers, they deceived me. My Kohanim, and my elders perished in the city when they sought food to keep themselves alive. Look, Adonai, for I am in distress. My stomach churns, my heart pounds within me, for I have been very rebellious. Outside, the sword bereaves, in the house it is like death. They have heard me groaning. There is no one to comfort me. All my enemies heard my distress. They rejoice that you have done it. May you bring about the day that you proclaimed, so they may become like me. Let all their evil come back before you. Deal with them as you've dealt with me, because of all my transgressions. For my groans are many, and my heart is faint. Lament for Zion. How my Lord has clouded over the daughter of Zion in his anger. He hurled down the splendor of Israel from the heaven to earth. He has not remembered his footstool in the day of his anger. My Lord has mercilessly swallowed up all the dwellings of Jacob. He threw down the strongholds of the daughter of Judah in his fury. He knocked to the ground and humiliated the kingdom and its princes. In fierce anger he has cut off every horn of Israel. He has withdrawn his right hand from before the enemy. He blazed against Jacob like raging fire, devouring everything around. He bent his bow like an enemy, set his right hand like a foe, and killed all those pleasant to the eye. In the tent of the daughter of Zion he has poured out his wrath like fire. My Lord is like an enemy. He has swallowed up Israel. He swallowed up all her citadels, destroyed her fortifications, and multiplied mourning and moaning for the daughter of Judah. Like the garden, he laid waste his dwelling, destroyed his appointed meeting place. Adonai has caused Moed and Shabbat to be forgotten in Zion. In the indignation of his anger, he spurned king and Kohen. The Lord rejected his altar, despised his sanctuary. He has delivered the walls of her citadels into the hand of the enemy. They raised a shout in the house of Adonai, as if it were the day of Moed. Adonai resolved to destroy the wall of the daughter of Zion. He stretched out a measuring line. He did not withdraw his hand from destroying. He caused rampart and wall to lament. Together they languished away. Her gates sank into the ground. Her bars he destroyed and shattered. Her king and princes are among nations. There is no more Torah. Also her prophets find no vision from Adonai. The elders of the daughter of Zion sit upon the ground in silence. They threw dust in their heads and girded themselves with sackcloth. The maidens of Jerusalem have bowed their heads to the ground. My eyes are filled with tears. My stomach is in torment. My heart is poured out on the ground over the destruction of the daughter of my people. As young children and infants languish in the city squares, they say to their mothers, "Where is grain and wine?" As they faint like wounded soldier in the city squares, as their lives ebb away in their mother's bosom. How can I admonish you? To what can I compare you, O daughter of Jerusalem? To what can I liken you, so that I may console you, O virgin daughter of Zion? For your wound is as deep as the sea. Who can heal you? Your prophets have seen for you false and worthless visions. They did not expose your iniquity so as to restore your captivity. Rather, they have seen for you false and worthless oracles. All who pass your way clap their hands at you. They hiss and shake their heads at the daughter of Jerusalem. Is this city of which they said, the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All your enemies opened their mouth wide against you. They hissed and gnashed their teeth and say, we have swallowed her up. Surely this is the day we have waited for. We have lived to see it. Adonai has done what he planned. He has fulfilled his word that he commanded from days of old. He has overthrown you without pity. He enables the enemy to gloat over you. Exalted the horn of your foes. Their heart cried out to the Lord, O wall of the daughter of Zion, let tears run down like a river day and night. Give yourself no relief, your eyes no rest. Arise, cry out in the night at the beginning of the watches. Pour out your heart like water before the presence of the Lord. Lift up your hands to him for the life of your children who faint from hunger at the head of every street. Look, Adonai, and consider with whom you have dealt so severely. Should women eat their offspring, their healthy newborn infants? Should Conan and prophets be slain in the sanctuary of the Lord? On the ground in the streets lie both young and old. My maidens and my young men have fallen by the sword. You slew them in the day of your anger. You slaughtered them without pity. As a moed day, you summon against me terrors on every side. On the day of the wrath of Adonai, no one escaped or survived. Those whom I bore were survived, though my enemy has destroyed. And that concludes the reading of Lamentations 1 through 2. Pretty dark, right? If you have any questions about that, I'd recommend checking out my recommended non-sponsored resources in the show notes or the description. It's basically about when the people of Israel were taken over by Babylon and just their kind of feelings about this event. But anyways, hopefully on a brighter note, the fortune cookie of today, your perceptions are sharpened. Your perceptions are sharpened through careful observation. That is true. That is very true. And also, the national days today are National Chocolate Soufflé Day. That's pretty good. We actually had caramel mochi today, or yesterday, technically. Really good stuff. Definitely highly recommend it. It's also National Floral Design Day, National Public Sleeping Day. I've done that before. Pre-COVID, but I went out for a walk one time and sat down at a bench and I fell asleep. That was something. It's also National Tooth Fairy Day, so I don't think anybody listening to this podcast is losing teeth, or at least I'd hope not. Well, I mean, I've lost teeth, but not for the tooth fairy, actually for the dentist. But I have all my teeth, or I have all the teeth that I need because of filling or crowns. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, and Rare Disease Day USA. Interesting. Yeah. Pretty sad when people have rare diseases. That's no fun. And then the next deep question of the day, again, comes from thoughtcatalog.com, not a sponsor. Which parent are you closer to and why? That's a hard one, because, I don't know, I think I've been closer to my mom for most of my life, but then recently, in the last couple of years, I've kind of gotten closer to my dad too. So, I don't know, I can't choose. I like hanging out with both of them for different reasons. I can talk nerdy stuff in comics with my dad, or watch action movies with my mom, so it's always fun. But yeah, what about you? If you like this show, please consider sharing it and leaving it a follow and subscribe. If you're a YouTube listener, please like, comment, share. If you're a podcast listener, please leave a review if you're on iTunes or any other podcast listening place. And yeah, thank you.